Hi, this is Chelsea and Nick Jerusalem with the Jerusalem's Happy Home team. And today we're just going to take a minute to kind of go over answering a question that we hear everywhere we've been going lately. Everybody wants to know what's going on with today's real estate market and are we headed for a bubble? We don't really have a magic crystal ball to tell you exactly what's going to happen, but what we can do is look at what's been going on over the history of the real estate market and what factors are influencing the real estate market today and kind of come up with an idea of where we could expect to head from here.
Yeah, so what we're looking at here, it kind of shows you a recap of the last 32 years in the Puget Sound real estate market. And so this here is kind of show you each year what the rate of appreciation has been. And then following the line graph is kind of showing what the median home price has been. So a couple things to point out here. You can see our previous peak in the market was back in July of 2007. And then we kind of entered into the Great Recession, as they call it, and home prices slid nearly $170,000 over the course of about 5 years. We bottomed out in February 2012, and then since February of 2012, we've seen virtually double-digit appreciation every year, with our current median home values being $653,000 for King County. And so important thing to point out is what drove the market here for this kind of 5-year period was largely driven and artificially inflated due to just very loose lending guidelines, as compared to this drive up that we're seeing in today's market is sound fundamentals driven by record low supply and extremely high demand. And we'll kind of touch on that in more detail here. And so with, seeing that the appreciation is going across the nation, however, in Washington state specifically, its prices are rising faster than anywhere else in the country. And we'll kind of touch on the key things with that, with our inventory levels being at their 22-year lows and having one of the fastest growing job markets that in the country right now as well. And this kind of shows you a breakdown of each sub area in King County of where the appreciations come from over these last 2 years. So as you can see, King County as a whole, prices are up $160,000.
So one of the key factors that is driving things up is affordability. One of the main huge impacting factors on that is where interest rates are at. Interest rates have a direct impact on affordability. And this is kind of a history of where things have been over the years. The 30-year average is about 6.78, and we are sitting pretty here at about half that at 3.98%. And here's kind of a real life example of what that looks like. So 1% change in interest rate is about the equivalent of a 10% change in purchase price. Here's an example of what a difference that makes and what a house you're gonna get. So the same payment basically gets you a much less appealing home, which is probably not gonna appreciate nearly as nicely as the more attractive home that you'd be getting at a lower rate.
So the other thing now that we know kind of rates are helping drive demand, the other thing is we have very localized demand growth. And a lot of that is because the job growth in the area, we've had over 1,000 people relocate to Seattle per week since 2010. A huge part of that, of course, is the tech sector, largely driven by Amazon's explosive growth. Just in the last 4 years, Amazon went from 100,000 to 400,000 employees worldwide, with their headquarters being in downtown Seattle. And because you have top tech companies like Microsoft and Amazon in this area, you're having several other tech companies coming here, opening satellite offices because they know they can draw employees from Microsoft and Amazon. And so currently we have over 80 engineering offices in the greater Seattle area, and they're projecting that there'll be 118,000 new jobs entering our marketplace over the next 3 years. Another key thing to point out here is that this little map here, the US, kind of shows you what the average software engineer salary is in each metro market. And you can see San Francisco has the highest pay at 134,000, but Seattle is second place in the country with 126,000. And so basically you could come to Seattle, have nearly half the cost of living that you would in the Bay Area, and it's not like you're making half as much. You're only taking an $8,000 haircut. Another kind of relatively newer phenomenon in our local market too is the amount of foreign investment we've been seeing. So Chinese money now accounts for over half of the foreign investment in Washington state. A few things driving that is there's the EB-5 visa program in the US, where if you invest over $500,000, you get to own land that you can have for multiple generations, pass on to your family. You also get a visa for 25 years. West Coast cities are always very attractive to foreign investment from Asia because there's, for instance, in Seattle, there's multiple nonstop flights from China to Seattle. And we're virtually half price of the other flagship West Coast cities like Vancouver and San Francisco. Touching on Vancouver, they just last year implemented a foreign investment tax where if you're investing from outside of the country, you pay a 15% tax. So no such tax exists here in Seattle that would limit some of that foreign investment. And so we know that's all driving our demand. So then the next part of the equation is, where is the supply coming from? So anyone going through Seattle, you see tower cranes everywhere. We actually have the most tower cranes in the country for the second year in a row. There's 58 tower cranes. But the important thing to note on that is that they're virtually all apartments and hotels and office space, because condominiums are very litigious in Washington state due to some of the consumer protection laws that we have here. And then if you go outside of the city and looking at, suburban, tract neighborhoods and that kind of thing, it's a very lengthy process, lots of red tape involved in doing development. You're 3 to 5 years out from when you tie up a piece of raw land to when you're actually putting houses out there. And so they just, one, can't build them fast enough. And two, there's just really nowhere to build them because our geography, we have so many mountains and trees and wetlands and the ocean and lakes. And so we're very limited on where they can increase that supply. And you're not seeing a lot of homes coming up for sale either to help with resale because, a lot of folks are concerned that if they sell their house, where do they go next? Because they know it's a competitive market still, which is something we can definitely help with.
Yeah, that's definitely a conversation that's been new to today's market. We're making sure we don't leave anybody homeless. We can help you find a home, but we can also help you sell your home, but we want to make sure we do both. So if you're looking to buy or sell in today's market, we just kind of did a high level overview of what's going on, but we definitely can do a deep dive on what your goals are and strategize how best to help you accomplish them. We're always happy to help. You can visit us at happyhometeam.com or give us a call or email anytime.